Wibtar, if I break off my engagement because of his new views about women? My 28F fiancé, 34M, and I used to have a great relationship, but for the last few years, his political views have become a problem. I mostly bit my tongue about it, but it came to a head when he accused a woman at his job of lying about her sexual assault. I pointed out that when a woman accuses a man of rape, he questions it and says she is lying. He justified that by saying it's stupid to believe an accusation like that with no proof. I pointed out that he has no proof that she's lying either, but he's accusing her anyway. He often sends me articles of women, usually teachers, sexually abusing boys. I brought up that he never says the boys are lying or asks for proof. He got very upset and kept repeating that I was trivializing male sexual abuse. I don't feel like I was. I feel that I was just pointing out the hypocrisy. He denied being biased against female accusers. I reminded him that when the allegations against Diddy first happened, he said, feminists were just trying to ruin a successful man's life. Unsurprisingly, he never brought up the man who accused Diddy of sexual assault. He defended Diddy up until the video of him physically assaulting Cassie was leaked. Even then, he said, we didn't know the whole story. The final straw was when he was telling me, yet again, how women are actually worse than men because we are sneaky and conniving, and at least men will fuck you over to your face. He kept saying that women are far worse people than men, and I just lost it. I said that there was nowhere on earth, not now or ever in recorded history, has the female violent crime rate been higher than the males. I told him that men kill each other even more than they kill us, so they are a bigger danger to themselves than some girl being sneaky. I said that blaming women for unfair legislation, like conscription, makes no sense when men make up the majority of the US government, and most, if not all, other governments. He was absolutely furious about all this. He didn't argue with me per se. He just told me that I was brainwashed by the feminist agenda and that feminism lied to me and convinced me I was special. I still don't know where that comment came from. It was not relevant to anything. I, admittedly, was very pissed off and said, well, maybe patriarchy lied to you about this relationship being special. I threw my ring at the table, left the house, and haven't spoken to him since. Today, he sent me a long text stating how I belittled him with that comment and that I would be a good wife if I could just stop needing to be right all the time. I haven't responded, and I'm conflicted about if I will at all. I feel bad about throwing he ring. I really feel bad that I hurt his feelings by saying our relationship isn't special. But still, TBH, I'm seriously questioning if I really want to marry him. He has always been argumentative, not just with me, with everyone. Normally, I just ignore it, but he was so egregious with his hypocritical BS. I shouldn't have taken the bait, and I don't feel like men are generally bad. I was speaking out of anger. I don't consider myself to be a super political person. I'm not even sure if I count as a feminist. He just has a new complaint about women every freaking day at this point. It's so frustrating. IDK when he became this way, but it sucks. There are still things I love about him, but the things he has been saying, maybe more than I can forgive. Despite all that, I'm still responsible for my intense outburst because I ignored his constant woman bashing in an effort to keep the peace. I exploded when I could have just spoken up from the start. Maybe if I'd nipped it in the bud right at the start, it could have been better. IDK. I don't know what to do. ATAR, update, edit. I did a whole update post, but the DR is. I told him I wasn't in love with him anymore and called off the engagement. I'm going to a friend's place for a few days, and he's going to move out of the condo by the 9th. Update. Hi, again. I'm surprised and overwhelmed by the response my post got. Thanks to everyone who read through all that. And thanks to anyone who reads through all this too. After I left, I went to a hotel. He kept contacting me to ask when I was coming home. I told him I needed time to think and turned off my phone. When I turned it back on, I saw his photo on my lock screen and decided to call him for reasons that will make sense later. He said he wanted to talk face to face, and I agreed, so I went home. He apologized for implying that I'm not special. I apologized for implying our relationship isn't special. We've been together for 12 years, so saying that was hurtful and untrue. Before anyone compares the harshness of our statements, his wrongs don't justify my own and vice versa. Disclaimer. This post isn't about the validity or ethics of gender roles. This is strictly an account of what happened with no wider social commentary from me. We discussed what we wanted for the future. He wants a traditional marriage and specified the following. I would quit my job and we'd start trying for a baby right after the wedding. I'd be a Sam until the kids are old enough for primary school and we'd raise them as Christians. He wants to protect and provide for our family, and I would be submissive. He assured me that I could still disagree with him and have a say, but he wants to ultimately have the final say in most things. He asked if I understood what he wanted, and I said yes. When he asked me if I still wanted to get married, I told him that I didn't. He has the right to change his mind, but it's not the arrangement we agreed to when he proposed. This post is long enough, so I won't detail how he got into this gender essentialism stuff or why I don't want the type of relationship he's asking for. Suffice to say, we are no longer compatible. He wants to do a trial run of his preferred setup so I can see that it's for the best. I told him that we had a very successful trial run of not doing that for 10 years until he decided to switch things up a few years ago. So about the lock screen, he has a small snaggletooth toward the back that he's always been shy about, so he never fully smiles in public. That photo is one of very few pictures where he is showing his real smile, and it's beautiful. Seeing that photo used to make me so happy. When I saw it this morning, I just felt sad. I know it sounds dramatic, but it feels like he died and was replaced by some kind of red-pilled pod person. When he asked me if I still loved him at all, I told him that I will always love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. I get that many people had strong feelings about the things he said, and he definitely crossed the line several times, but this is still so hard for me to do. He's the only man I've ever been with, and my best friend. I'm relieved that it's over, but still sad about how it ended. I accept that he's a different person now, but it's hard not to think of what could have been. Eat it. About that age gap, I rounded up from the more accurate 11 years and however many months, and just said 12 years. But yeah, I was 17 and he was 22 when we got together. I know that's a big red flag now, but at the time, I didn't see it that way. I was raised in a super conservative family and intended to save myself for marriage. I slowly moved away from ultra-conservatism religion as I got older. I know that's still a little sus that he was with me to begin with, but FWIW, we didn't have sex until I was 19, and it was very consensual. OP is not at an AH for ending the engagement due to her fiancé's increasingly problematic views about women. Over time, his sexist and hypocritical attitudes, particularly regarding sexual assault, became unbearable. While she initially avoided confrontation, OP eventually called out his double standards. He consistently questioned female accusers but never doubted male victims. His comments about women being worse than men and his desire for a traditional marriage, where she would quit her job and be submissive, revealed deep incompatibilities between them. Let's now move on to another story. Are me and my wife AHs for having our daughter fend for herself? My wife has been a stay-at-home mom since our eldest was born. Even though our youngest is now 12, she stays home to care for the house, as well as be available for pickups, volunteer at the children's schools for various closings, etc. We have always talked to our daughters, 25, 21, 17 and 12, about their futures, careers, etc. We made it clear we'll support whatever path they want. Our eldest is 25 and chose to settle down and become a stay-at-home mum. Our 21-year-old is in college, no plans of marriage or kids, and wants to focus on a career. We're happy for both of them and all their successes. Our 17-year-old Sasha is in her senior year and getting ready to start applying to universities. Like our 21-year-old, Sasha wants to focus on her career, maybe get married, but definitely no kids. She's been saying this for a while, and we've supported that dream. Our other kids seem to appreciate what their mother does, have never belittled her position in the household. I have equally always painted her as the true hero of this family, as she does so much. I try to do all I can to help her and give her breaks, but she is superwoman in my eyes. However, for the past few months, Sasha has made tiny jabs here and there. She'll talk about her going to college and ask my wife what she majored in, despite already knowing. Then say, "Wow, imagine what you could make if you were in that field now. We could be living the high life." Or, "Giving up a six-figure salary for a husband and kids could never be me. Keep in mind, I also make a six-figure salary, We are by no means the wealthiest people in the area, but we're also not broke, and the kids have gotten many privileges from this. My wife has always said this is a choice she made. She's happy with it, and we've both told Sasha to stop with the comments. Sasha will do better, then start up again. Labor Day is when Sasha blew it, in my wife's words. The two of us set up a BBQ for our family, with everyone there. I grilled with my wife, cooking the rest and setting it up with our daughter's help, except Sasha. At one point, my wife was talking about volunteering at our 12-year-old school as they need someone to run an art club. Our youngest is so excited for this. Sasha kept making jabs at how boring my wife's life is. I corrected her, but my wife just kept trying to let it go. Then our eldest said something about trying to keep up with the housework and a small child at home. Sasha scoffed and said it can't be that hard. My wife chimed in and said it's more work than you realize. Sasha rolled her eyes and said to my wife, "Well, you chose to be the loser who stays home and wastes her wife away." My wife was clearly about to cry. I sent Sasha to her room. My wife took a walk to clear her head, our older two daughters joining her, while I went to talk to Sasha and tell her how hurtful and horrible her actions were. She was unapologetic and claimed that she's just trying to help my wife. When my wife came back, she told Sasha if she's such a loser wasting her life away, then she's done helping her. Our kids have age-appropriate chores, their own laundry and taking turns cleaning their shared bathroom. She is done doing anything else for Sasha. Sasha can make her own meals. She's free to join us at dinner, but it'll be food she cooks and will either be things we already have in the house, or she can go buy it with her own money. As Sasha refused my wife's attempts to teach her how to cook over the years, it'll be her struggle. Sasha can find her own way to school. My wife also won't volunteer anymore at her school, meaning the club Sasha is on will need a new parent/teacher advisor, and if they don't find one, it'll be shut down. This will continue until my wife and I can see a sufficient change in attitude. I am in full support of this. Sasha didn't take us seriously, but on Tuesday when she asked what was for dinner, my wife said she only made enough for herself, me, and our youngest. When my daughter overslept and missed the bus on Wednesday, my wife refused to give her a ride. I work from home but also refused to take her. She had to walk to a friend's house about 15 minutes away to fetch a ride. That night, Sasha made herself ramen, while my wife made the rest of us ribs. Sasha went to my wife later and asked when it'd be enough. My wife asked if she was sorry. Sasha said no. So, my wife said, then it's not over. Sasha went to her older sisters. Our 21-year-old agrees with us, but our 25-year-old thinks we're being too harsh and says she'd never do this to her little one. Are we being assholes? Eat it. To all asking if we asked her why, we did, several times. She claims that as she looks to her own future, she realizes how sad it is that my wife has this life and feels bad that she never had a good future. My wife consistently says she's not sad, and I think that makes our daughter angrier. You and your wife are not AHs for having Sasha fend for herself. It wasn't called for. Considering Sasha's continued disrespect and belittling her mother's choices hurt. Your wife chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and that is a decision she is happy with. But Sasha's digs at it were undermining that. By making Sasha take responsibility for her own meals and transportation, you're teaching her accountability regarding her actions. Although this is a harsh punishment, it is a direct consequence of her continued insolence. Barring Sasha's genuine apology for having committed the mistake and proving an attitude change, the above response seems appropriate to consider in making Sasha sensitive towards her mother's efforts. Bye-bye for now. Let's see you tomorrow.